Hey guys, I'm about to take this spindle here and either do something really cool or really stupid with it. Let's see which one it is. Well, if you haven't guessed it yet, what I'm about to do is put a Wilwood Big Brake Kit onto the 3rd gen. And in order to do that with the stock spindles, I am going to have to cut them up just a little bit. The problem is, when I cut them up, I can no longer use the stock brakes ever again. And for me, personally, for some reason, I'm real nervous about doing that. I know I shouldn't be. Stock brakes are about 10-inch rotors. I'm putting on an almost 13-inch front rotor now. The thing should stop amazing. It's just nerve-wracking for me to cut off these parts of the spindle so I can get them on. Let me show you real quick the kit that I got and what I need to do to the spindles to get these things to fit. So here's my Wilwood kit. It is a quad piston caliper. Comes with the mounting brackets, the hubs, rotors are in there, the caliper, brake pads. Comes with all the hardware, the wheel studs. I mean, everything you can imagine, everything you need to mount these onto your 3rd gen. So this is the stock spindle. And I've already got it sort of marked out here where I'm going to cut it off. Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things that once you cut it off, there's no going back. I think I procrastinated this long enough. I'm going to take it into the shop and we're going to slice and dice. All right, here goes nothing. Alright guys, so you saw me do the modifications to the front spindles. Basically, to fit these brakes, I needed to cut off the old C-shape that was here that held the old small 10-inch rotors. Cut those off, smoothed out all the cast. I had some clearance spots that I also had to grind down where the hub would actually hit with the bolts. So that's all smoothed out, and I went ahead and I gave it a coat of Summit's chassis black paint, so I know it'll be protected for a long time to come. So I'm now ready to assemble these hubs, and first things first, I have everything laid out. What I've done is I've installed the wheel studs, which are threaded into the hub, into the right bolt pattern that I needed for my application. So these are 5 by 4 3/4. First step here is we're going to torque these bolts down to 77 foot-pounds, and since it's going to be near impossible for me to try to do this by hand, I'm going to take this to the bench quick, and I'm actually going to do both these hubs and torque those things to spec. So let me do that real quick. All my lugs here are torqued down 77 foot-pounds, so I'm just going to put these out of the way right now, because the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to install the caliper mounting bracket. So in the kit comes with all the hardware you can need. So I need 2 bolts, 2 washers, the brackets, and also red Loctite. It calls for a 271 red Loctite on these. Obviously, I've already measured or checked that once these are installed, they sit flat. There's no clearance issues. So I'm ready now to install the bolts. I should point out that on the brackets itself, the flange nut or the cinch nut here, you can see it has a wider head here than here. You need to make sure that these are facing out. And that's because when the caliper goes onto here to mount up, you want it to be able to pull it in. You don't want it to pull out. So just be mindful of that when you install these. Alright, 40 foot-pounds on the caliper mounting bracket bolts. This next part is going to require some gloves and some grease because we're going to pack the inner bearings. I'm going to go for gloves. I don't want to be sticky like with grease all the rest of the day. The inner bearing is the larger bearing, so I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to pack these inner bearings. I'm going to grab a nice little wad here of wheel bearing grease. And those of you who have never packed the bearing before, it's pretty easy. You want to get it from the area where it's open in the back, a wad of grease in your hands, and you basically are just smacking the bearing in until you start seeing the grease coming up the top. So work your way around. Just smearing grease on the outside is not going to pack the bearing, and you will destroy it. So make sure you go ahead and you pack these things really good. I don't know if it's showing up on camera there, but you could start to see the grease coming up through here in between all the rollers. Once you got that there, you know you're in good shape. So I'm going to pack this guy a little better, pulling around. And once it's good, then you could rub the rest of your grease or clean up the grease around here. Make sure your bearing race is clean. I've already cleaned these. I'm going to put a little bit of grease there. And I'm just going to stick the bearing there for now as I go on to the other one. Maybe that's a better shot there. You could see how the grease is coming out. Alright, before I clean my hands up, since my hands are already greasy, I might as well grease the outer bearing as well. So, back bearing is in. We can now install our rear seal. It doesn't really matter much, but I'm going to wipe up the excess grease here where the seal is going to go. The seal goes with the lip facing towards the bearing. I have this little driver tool I use for a lot of different seals. I'm going to put that on there. And with a dead blow hammer, just going to tap until it's flush. Same thing with the other side. We're going to put these to the side for now. Same with the spindles. And now we're going to grab the hub adapter and the brake rotor. So these brake rotors are directional, but at this point it doesn't matter. What does matter though is the orientation of the hub adapter. In my case, the raised portion needs to face up into the rotor with the tabs that are flush with this part of the rotor going against the hub adapter. So this is going to take these smaller bolts, and again, red Loctite, and we're going to torque these to 25 foot-pounds. We're going to bring the hubs back in. The rotors are now going to go onto the hub, just like that. And we're going to take the 5 supplied bolts for each rotor, red Loctite again, and we're going to torque these down to 45 foot-pounds. Next thing we're ready to do is we're ready to put these rotors onto the appropriate spindles. This is my left-hand side. This one over here is my right-hand side. On the rotors themselves, on this kit at least, there are arrows that indicate the direction of rotation. So this is indicating counterclockwise. So this one is going to be my left-hand side rotor. On this guy, the arrow is, at least in this orientation, is going clockwise. So that means this one is going to be my right hand rotor. So right hand spindle, right hand rotor. Before I go to put these into place, I'm going to steal a little grease from the bearing here, and I'm going to put a little bit on this lip seal here, as well as on the spindle where the seal rides. I don't want that to be a dry fit. Doesn't need a lot, just enough so the seal can move on there nice and easy. Now we can place these onto the spindle. And since we already packed our outer bearings, they can now go into place. And because the outer cap is a screw-on type, the kit comes with new nut washers. So let me cut these out. We're going to use these to fit in here. There's 1, 2, and then we're going to use the factory castle nut to tighten this down. So let me go ahead and grab that castle nut. My factory castle nuts, they're going to go back onto the spindles. And for now, I'm just going to run these down. Just going to snug these down. It'll be much easier to adjust these bearings once it's on the car. But basically with a new set of bearings, you want to kind of tighten these things up, give it a couple of spins so it's nice and seated, and then depending on the manufacturer, usually you loosen it up just enough to get to the cotter pin, and that should be good enough preload with new bearings. It's a little different if you have used bearings. So I'm going to just stick the dust cover on there for now to keep anything out of the bearings, but that's it for assembling the rotor. So I have the rotors and the spindle assembly flipped over so I have access to the back mounting bracket, and what I want to accomplish here is I want to mount this caliper on here, and I want to make sure that the distance on each side of the rotor to the pistons is equal. And the way you accomplish that is you use these little shims that come in the kit. These are 35,000 shims, and Wilwood recommends using 2 per mounting bolt to start with. So what we're going to do is put my mounting bolt in here. Get the first one started. 2 more shims for the other side. You want to make sure that you shim these equal on both sides. You don't want to put an uneven amount of shims in there. So I have 2 shims on both sides.
I'm just going to run these down for now. And now what I could do is I can measure the distance between the rotor and the caliper. So I have 0.565 here. .535. So that means that the distance on this side where the caliper bolt goes is tighter than this side. So I could probably go ahead and I can add another shim on the side where I have. So instead of 2 shims, I'll have 3 shims. So I'm going to do that and then we'll check again to see what it looks like. I have the shims in. We're going to go ahead and we're going to measure. 526. 5.245. So I'd say that's pretty close to centered. Right now I have 2 shims under each mounting bolt, and that's where it's going to stay. So what I'm going to do now, since these are snugged, I'm going to remove 1 bolt at a time so I don't lose those shims. And I'm going to put red Loctite on this bolt. Run this down. And then these bolts get torqued down to 40 foot-pounds. Last but not least, you can install your brake pads, and they're retained with the cotter pin that comes with the kit. I'm not going to put mine on just yet. I'm going to get my assemblies installed on the car and everything else up mounted first. I also wanted to mention that even though the rotor is directional, the calipers are not. There are bleeder screws on the top and bottom. You don't want to use the bottom ones to bleed your brakes, but the calipers are identical left or right. You're only going to use the top bleeders to bleed your system. You're not going to touch the bottom ones. If this caliper was on the other side, this bottom set would be the top. You would use those. But I just wanted to point out that the calipers can be used either left or right. Doesn't matter which the orientation is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to center the caliper on the other spindle. And that should be it. That should be my entire brake system upgrade. And like I said, I still have the brake pads. I'll put those in later. One of the other things maybe I should point out, that the brake lines or brake hoses on the Wilwood calipers uses a 1/8 27 thread. So generally your stock brake hoses won't work, but Wilwood does sell brake line kits that are available from most major manufacturers. You just need to check the length you need, and you should be able to upgrade your brakes just the same. So if you have an 82 to 92 Camaro Firebird and you want to put some real braking power into your car, I suggest you check out Wilwood's brake upgrade kit. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Hopefully this brake kit instructional video helps you see what you need to do to upgrade your brakes on your 3rd gen Camaro Firebird. When I looked around, I couldn't find any videos really specific to this car. So hopefully this video helps you guys out as much as it's helping me. And yeah, if you guys aren't following along, I'm taking this car to Drag Week 2025. I'm down to 56 days to get this car ready, and I still don't have my engine, transmission, any of the wiring in it, or obviously my front brakes and front suspension. So go ahead and check those videos out, and if you could, give this video a like, share, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks guys. Bye.